Gojira are always so consistent, so good.
They really are. That's why.
They're also very consistent with their lyrical themes too. Always about preservation of the earth and
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, no.
Which is interesting that they're sort of like themed around that almost.
Yeah, which is why they're
But
so good.
yeah,
Deserve this.
it is interesting too because I listened to this when it came out, and my first thought was like, especially after what was the last album that came out from them?
Magma.
Magma, yeah. Especially after that, where they were kind of following the trend of like the kind of genty, very chuggy sort of riffs and stuff like that. This is very different from that, so it'll be interesting to see like if their next full length release will be a lot more kind of like this.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, I'm always
because it's a lot more. Yeah. Because it's a lot more subdued, I think. Like, it's still very good. It's still really heavy, but it's just a very different guitar style that than what they've used on a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, and their drummer, Mario, is like literally one of the best drummers in the world, and it was almost 4 on the floor the whole song, Yeah,
exactly.
It's simple, which is fine. It's good. Simple is good.
Oh, for sure.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yep.
But yeah, and then that song, it's you almost have to watch the music video. That the song came with.
The animation is so good with it.
Yeah. And I guess to spoil it for everyone who's, it's like, yeah, it helps tell the story, I guess. There's like a plot twist at the end. Oh my God. Even it's like a 5-minute movie.
And like I said, very well animated.
Yeah. It's a fresh animation style, which is cool. And I wonder, I always wonder, because I think Magma came out in 2016, I think.
2016 sounds right.
So it's 2020 now. It's been 4 years. So I wonder, like, how long this has been out, or like how long they've had this around. If like they just wrote this at the beginning of 2020, or they've had this for a while, or like, I haven't really seen where they're at. Like if said they're like working on a new album, but I haven't really checked in like how far along they are or done much.
Yeah, I don't really follow like their socials or anything like that, so I don't know if they're working on anything or not, and if this is like the first single and they've been sitting on it for a while trying to really trying to up the hype now for a new release, or if they just started working on it. I have no idea.
Yeah, and like because I do follow their stuff, obviously, because I'm a major fanboy. But like, yeah, it hasn't really seemed like on their YouTube they posted a couple like live studio sessions, because for one they built and manage and run their own studio in New York City. And they produce themselves.
Okay.
So
they don't have a studio in France?
I don't think so. At least like their main one, the Silver Cord Studios in New York City.
Okay.
Because they're the drummer and the singer guitar player are brothers.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, they're brothers, and they really like New York City, so I think they live there. I'm not sure about the bass player.
That's a long commute from France.
Right. I think he does, because he likes to mountain bike. Like he's like almost, I think, a pro level mountain biker. So he's always like in mountains on a mountain bike and stuff. So I think he does
I wonder how that works, if he's just collaborating like online, or if because like, borders of the US are closed right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or borders of other countries are closed to the US.
Right. Or if he like was here before it all shut down, but I don't know.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Interesting to know.
Yeah. And I think that's why, for like going back to the self-produce, I think that's why I like their style so much. Because it was 2 albums ago the one before Magma, that they went full on self-produced, no producer. It was like the thing, and then Magma was also obviously self-produced, and those two have been like noticeably, I guess, different. Obviously because they're older now. When they first started, it was like, straight up kind of death metal vibes, early 2000s, late 90s death metal, and now it's like not that at all. So they just obviously have matured as musicians and people, but like their music, it reflects that. But like their message has pretty much stayed the same, like take care.
Always been very conservation forward.
Yeah, and like I want to say spiritual almost too. Not necessarily religious, but like spiritual towards how they view humans and how we treat the earth. They're pretty big on that.
Yeah.
Like they have a bunch of songs about saving whales and stuff. And like another bunch of other songs about how humans are shitty and we just wreck the earth. Like I think the song we just played, Another World, is about maybe a story of how people wrecked Earth and
now we have to, that's why we're, looking towards Mars and things like that. Yeah.
And that's why we're building the spaceship to go into space to find.
That's what I get from it. Absolutely.
Which is good because maybe other bands aren't as, I don't want to say, I don't know if I want to say sophisticated as that, but like, other bands are maybe more blunt about their song topics.
Yeah.
Like, I'm angry and fuck the world and fuck you and killing and they're, I don't know, generalizing heavily there, but I guess that's maybe the stereotype of normies would think of metal. I just had this discussion at work the other day too, because I was playing Gojira in the shop. And they're like, I'm playing your whatever angry music. And I'm like, yeah, it is angry, but like it's about saving the earth. So like,
well, I always remember when we did work together for that one summer, that whenever like you would put on something, I'd be like, hell yeah, this is right. I'm all about this.
Right. But it is aggressive sounding on the outside looking in, but that's why I like it. I don't know.
Yep. So my next song is by a band that used to be kind of like a more modern sort of sounding deathcore, metalcore type of group.
Okay.
But they've recently split with their vocalist and got a new one. And so now they've got a really different sound that's a lot, it still has some of the heavier stuff, but it's a lot more sort of electronic and atmospheric, and I guess you could say radio friendly. It's still pretty good, but I think that their album Arms from 2018 is so far my favorite release of theirs. But this is a new song that came out on November 27th, so like a week ago ish.
Yep.
And it's called The Tragedy.
Okay.